Marcus, thank you very much for your time in coming to speak to us today and answer some of the questions that I know are burning issues for Pierce's clients. We've got the new Conservative government following the general election. David Cameron's moved very quickly in announcing his new cabinet with a summer budget planned for the 8th of July. Following that, what do you think the impact on the economy will be of the new Conservative government?
Well, there's two key challenges facing the government. Firstly, on the fiscal side, it's bringing in the budget deficit. That was a challenge in the last Parliament, right in the run-up to the election, and it'll be the challenge for the entirety of this Parliament. There's a lot of work to do to bring in the budget deficit. And then the second issue, and very much related to the budget deficit, is productivity. So the budget deficit was something that was talked about a lot in the run-up to the election. Productivity, the productivity challenge the UK faces, less so. So our productivity performance in the UK has been fairly poor post-crisis. It's the negative flip side, if you like, of the strong job growth. Now, why do economists focus on this, talk about this? It's really because it's the key determinant of living standards in the long term. When you get productivity growth, stronger productivity growth, you get higher wage growth, and so people are able to achieve a higher standard of living. But baked into forecasts on bringing in the budget deficit, it's not just about spending and tax issues, it's about getting that growth, getting that strong growth, larger economy, so the budget deficit becomes smaller in relative terms.
Certainly one of the questions my clients will want me to ask you is about interest rates. Since March 2009, we've been at a bank base rate of 0.5%. That's over 6 years now and the lowest rate we've ever had. What do you see as the outlook for interest rates over the next 2 or 3 years?
Okay, so one of the features of the recent years of the post-crisis period has been expectations on interest rates. When interest rates begin to rise, have been constantly pushed out. It was a case of, all right, it's going to be next year, and then next year comes and it's the following year. So at the moment, the market expectations, or the consensus if you like, are for rates to begin rising around the middle of next year. And although there's, that moves around, there is uncertainty about it, but some things we're a bit more certain on is it's going to be a very, very slow pace when interest rates do start to rise. It's going to be a gradual process, because really it needs to be to wean the economy off low rates, if you like.
A number of Pierce's clients, and indeed the Northwest region generally, are very strong in manufacturing. Manufacturing leads to exports, and in terms of exporting to the three great economies of the world, the US, China and the Eurozone, how competitive are we at present, and what are the effective exchange rates around that?
Well, when we're thinking about exports, the biggest determinant of countries' export success is the strength of demand in its export markets. We're still really waiting on that strong demand coming from the Eurozone, still waiting for the recovery to feed into proper real declines in unemployment to strengthen demand for the UK's exports. So an improving picture there, but it's certainly not fantastic. What about China, which up until recently had been a real export success story for the UK? But China's economy slowed quite substantially, particularly over the past 9-12 months. And you can see that in the UK export figures to China. They have slowed alongside that. So that's something that makes it for a challenging outlook for UK exports. US, what hasn't helped is they've had another difficult winter. The data's not been great. There was a port shutdown on the west coast. So it's been a real difficult environment, and we've seen that in the figures so far this year on the export front. I'd expect that really to remain the case. Global trade growth is stuck in the slow lane.
We've talked about the need for some stability in the economy, or indeed continuing stability. We know we have the prospect of an EU referendum in 2017. In his pre-election pledges, David Cameron was very specific about that. Could you outline for us what you see as the pros and cons economically of our membership of the EU?
It is difficult to get a handle on the costs and benefits of being in the EU. Studies have been done, and on the costs and benefits of the UK being a member of the EU, and the estimates range wildly, from that imposes a cost to the tune of 5-6% of GDP to a benefit to the tune of 5-6% GDP. So what we do know is there are deep economic ties between the UK and the EU. Almost half our exports go to the EU, and a substantial proportion of business turnover, estimated about 15% of business turnover, is from firms domiciled in the EU.
One of the issues of which our clients are always acutely aware is tax rates. And over the last Parliament, we saw corporation tax fall to the very low rate of 20%. Again, is that something that you think this government can maintain?
Well, if we look at the Queen's speech, there was one of the bills put forward was to freeze income tax, national insurance and VAT. It seems, this government the focus has been on, in terms of bringing in that budget deficit, there's been more emphasis on the spending side rather than tax rates, and that's very unlikely to change over this parliamentary term. The focus, we know it's debated, we see it in the news every day, and the budget will shed a bit more light on the spending.
Let me get your views on the Northern Powerhouse. This is a concept that the Chancellor introduced about a year ago when he referred to the Northern Powerhouse and the need to get our great cities of Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds and indeed the North generally all pulling together and in the same direction and providing to the economy something similar to what the South and the South East provides. How do you see the current outlook and the new Conservative government improving the chances for the Northern Powerhouse to succeed?
So one of the key aspects is around boosting infrastructure, being able to move people and goods around the area, the region, the Northern Powerhouse region more easily, more quickly. And that's very important because it's crucial in driving what I've talked about around productivity growth. With better infrastructure, it's one of the crucial factors in driving stronger productivity performance. That's an issue not just for the Northern Powerhouse region, but it's for the UK as a whole. If we can, alongside things like early years education, perhaps making it relaxing planning laws, these are the type of things that help drive productivity. So it's certainly a positive for the region, absolutely.
So with the banking crisis now firmly behind us, Marcus, and I know that certainly your bank is very keen and has monies available to lend, that's going to mean greater lending to local businesses who can then make investment, who can then improve the productivity to which you referred to. So would it be safe to say that we are on the road to prosperity?
So the UK economy is in recovery mode. We've had a good couple of years. Job growth has been strong. Business investment recovered last year. It's had another good quarter in Q1. As you referred to, RBS, NatWest playing its part in that, very much open for business. And the outlook for 2015 is a good one. We had a good 2014. We've continued in a similar vein with a few tweaks to the economy here and there. We can definitely continue on the growth path and achieve continued prosperity.
Well, that's very encouraging and great news for our clients. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.